Okie dokie, goat and sheep. Great. So now we're going to go over a few aspects of lamb processing. Okay. Geez, sadly, this is something that we were going to be doing in the upcoming weeks. Sadly enough. So we're not. I'll dig up some online resources that are pretty good examples of some of the things that we're talking about, so you can get at least an idea with some of these processes. And I'll also try and elucidate some of this stuff verbally via this right here. Isn't that right, Herman? The hermit crab. Great. Okay, so docking tails. Those of y'all that made it out to Sam's place remember that she didn't dock tails, right? And docking tails isn't really a necessity, okay? But it's done mainly with wool sheep in an effort to build up feces, right, around the hind end. Feces build up in the wool and the hind end, okay? But it can also be beneficial to prevent feces build up even in hair sheep at times, right? Which then what we're looking for is a clean environment, okay? We don't want a bunch of mats of feces on our animals that are then going to be able to be habitat for different flies or parasites. Okay, so generally it's a hygienic practice. It's done at the same point of a lot of other processing, things such as injections, castrations, tagging, etc. So it's essentially quick, and it can be very helpful for the hygiene of the animal. Okay. As with a lot of these processing things, really time is of the essence. We would like to do this as early on in age as we managerially, logistically can. Okay, generally a day or two, right? You want to do it within 2 weeks. That's your long shot bar, okay? But it's nice to do it within actually a couple days of birth. It's much less traumatic, much less stressful, and physiologically taxing as well, right? Okay, with more age, we'll get more bleeding with a lot of these, and longer healing time. Okay, so for docking, we want to be careful not to dock too close. Okay, we don't want a bunch of extra material hanging down, right? But we also don't want to just give a clear shot out of there, because it's also serving as a protector of the genital and anus areas out in the environment for these animals. Okay, so we want to go looking at an animal. You can see where the membranes of the skin, kind of the connective tissue between on the underside of the tail, as it comes up and joins back with the body. Okay, we want to make sure that we leave all of those membranes, right, and not cut in that connective tissue, but right past it. Okay, so we want what's left of the tail to still cover the vagina and vulva of female animals. Okay, don't want to go too close. The closer we go, we're also going to get a lot more bleeding and a lot longer healing time. Some people banned to dock tails. Personally, I prefer surgical because it's a little more acute. But if you're processing your animals at a younger age, then what you're doing is sealing up the wound a lot quicker, okay, and preventing windows of infection with surgical means of for instance, docking tails. The elastic band works for tails. It just has a longer window, okay, of healing. It takes about 2 weeks for the tails to drop off the animal. Okay, and so you also, why I'm not so keen on banding is that you don't quite move on, right? 2 weeks for all the tails to drop off. Say you got 60 animals that are off in a pasture right alongside, and you're going to work every day and checking your animals. And then for 2 weeks after processing, banding, right, where you're doing all your other things, castrating, etc., you got to keep looking out in the freaking pasture and making sure that, and counting tails that are dropping, right? You don't have to, but you got to make sure that it's going along. You got to make sure that infections haven't happened along the way, right? A week or whatever, 2 weeks down the road after processing. With surgical cutting, right? We're done. It's finished. Okay. And so they have hot irons, right? In addition to straight surgical clipping, which also happens as long as it's early enough and the wound gets properly sealed, generally with iodine, right? So with the hot irons for tails, it's got to be nice and hot before you're doing it quickly, and you want to make sure that you're doing one nice cut, right? The hot iron tail docking is not the time to hesitate or to maybe go here and right, because it's a hot iron. As soon as you make a small contact, the animal's going to feel it really quickly, right? And it's also going to react, so if you try to just kind of go in half-heartedly, right, and then it burns the animal quickly, then it jumps, you burn it 2 more times, you readjust, and then you get it again, and then boom, and now your animal's full of cortisol, okay? A fly repellent on a wound or wound coat, right? Pine tar works, if you got any laying around, right? But wound coat works nicely. Iodine works great. Okay, let's call that a video on tail docking. Mahalo.